This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to jump off London bomber Ebanie Bridges here in Las Vegas of all places.
Yes.
Ebanie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, living it up here in Vegas.
I mean, before we do come on to the reason we're here, I just want to get a bit more of an idea of your travelling to try to get to Vegas, and also, as you told me just off camera, you're going to London on Sunday as well.
Yeah. I mean, I was just in Sydney, Wednesday night for the Tim Tszyu fight. So I was there, and then I pretty much had about three hours sleep, and then I headed to the airport and got on a plane to come here to Vegas just so I could make it for the weigh-ins. And yeah, I know about an 18-hour flight commute, touchdown here, and now I'm here and go.
So you're here for what, 3 days, and then you're flying again. So your body clock must not be in the best of positions.
Yeah, I'm here for like 3 days, and then I fly to London on Sunday. Look, you know what? There's no time for my body clock to adjust to Vegas, so at least I'm not going to get much jet lag here. Maybe when I hit the UK, I will. But yeah, here's kind of not much sleep and just go. And we'll see how I feel when I get to London.
Right, before we come on to yourself, let's just start off with the reason we're here. Crawford-Porter, you've travelled out for this. What do you expect to see on Saturday night? A lot of people have Terence as a heavy favourite going into this fight, but as you've said, you're a big Shawn Porter fan, so what do you expect to see on Saturday night?
Yeah, well, I expect to see an exciting fight like always when Shawn Porter isn't involved, and also Terence Crawford, he puts on exciting fights. He's very spiteful, very aggressive as well. Look, I see it going to be a tough fight for Terence. Like, I don't see him neutralising or dismantling Shawn as easy as he has of some people in the past. Shawn is very experienced. He's experienced at 147, you know what I mean? He's fought all the top guys at 147. He's had some great wins and some really close split decision losses to some of the biggest names in the division. So, Terence Crawford, yeah, he was great, 140, great, but he hasn't really fought that great competition compared to, if you compare it to Shawn, in the 147. Not saying that cancels him out, but when I'm looking at it as a Shawn Porter fan, I'm thinking, well, that's the kind of advantages and disadvantages that they have coming into this fight. But I do think that Terence Crawford is the more skilled, slick fighter. That's not easy to deny that, but Shawn's improving every single fight. We see him coming in. We're showing a lot more of his toolbox. He's showing a lot more boxer. Taking back 5 fights ago, before the Thurman fight, even the Thurman fight, all he was just that, you wouldn't call it one-dimensional, but, go forward and bully and brawl, and that's what he did. But, you see him in his last few fights with Ugas or Danny Garcia, even his last fight, just showing that boxing, his footwork. They come out fighting that German guy, showing his slick feet and his head movement and coming in. So I think his improvement, he knows where he needs to work on, I'm excited to see what more, if he can come in with more improvements with this fight. Terence Crawford kind of seems to be the same, he's just always so good, you know what I mean? You don't see much of the improvements with Terence because he's just always so good, so I feel like he's going to come out looking the same as he does, and I think it's all going to depend on how Shawn comes out to fight. And, I think that he's going to need to come in and he's going to have to move that head to close that distance, because I think he's not going to be able to outbox Crawford. And I think that if he sits in Crawford's range, if he doesn't move that head, he's gonna eat the punches, So I think he's gonna make it a very tough and rugged fight for Crawford. And yeah, that's kind of how I see it. And I really do hope Shawn wins, but if he doesn't, it's Crawford, heavy favourite. But I would like to see him get his hand raised.
Is Terence Shawn's toughest test of his career so far?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that I thought Thurman, because back when he fought Thurman, no one wanted to fight Thurman. Thurman was the best in division, and no one wants to fight him. And wow, he's so amazing. He's such a clean, crisp boxer. Thurman was known for his boxing skill. You know what I mean? He's like clinical kind of boxing. Crawford's quite similar, but Crawford has a bit more spite, I think. So yeah, I think it's yes. I mean, he's at that level. Definitely, and Shawn's had a few of his last fights. His last fight was pretty easy, But I think definitely as of late, it's definitely going to be a tough test for him.
Let's come on to yourself. Obviously, last time we saw you in the ring, we saw you produce 2 good performances in the space of a month of each other. Talk to me about those performances, reflecting on a couple of wins to get back to winning ways, and just your time away from the ring up until your stint now, I imagine, going out to the UK to train for a little bit and what have you?
Yeah, look, obviously I had that win over Beck Connolly. That was a good statement win for me, knocking her out. Great fight. I actually, with the Gangler fight where I hurt my hand, I actually hurt my hand in the Beck fight with that. So that's where the original hand injury kind of came from. But I kind of laid off it for a couple of weeks. There was 4 weeks in between. I did lay off it. Wasn't using it for the first couple of weeks there. And I thought it would hold out, but it didn't. And then, the Gangler fight, tough fight, tougher than I expected. I expected her to come out a very different style, come and sit and punch with me, but she wanted to box a little bit. Then once my hand went, it was really hard because, obviously I have power, and I think, I felt like I was really owning that fight. Like, I thought I was going to get her out in the third or the fourth. I thought, well, she's done. Like, she was looking like she was almost out, and then I just couldn't place my punch. I just couldn't put anything in that right hand, constantly pulling back on my right, and I think that kind of distracts me a little bit in the middle rounds, and then I kind of changed my tactic in the last few rounds. I was like, what am I doing? Like, let's start boxing her. So then when I started going on the back foot a little bit, jabbing and trying to walk her onto my right hand, not so much with the hard right hand, but just walking onto shots, I think, was kind of what got me through there. But yeah, I felt really strong in that fight, and I would actually like to have that rematch again eventually, whenever, because I think I want to prove that, and show that, like, that should have been an easy fight for me. And then if I had the two hands and not the smashed up hand, I think it would have been probably finished that fight earlier.
There are a few shows coming up in the UK towards the end of this year. Are you planning on being on any of those?
No, I don't have any dates yet, especially not this year. My hand, I still haven't started to punch with my hand yet. Yeah, it's still in recovery. Unfortunately, with my injury, the kind of injury it is, it just takes so much time because I got severe bone bruising through like 7 of my bones. I had torn muscle bellies. Like, it was unfortunately like a break. You have a break and you go get surgery, and then 6 weeks, 8 weeks, bit of rehab, it's better. But with bone bruising, it's like it turns your bone into mush. You know what I mean? It's the whole hand. It's not even just like one bone. It's like so many bones in there that are just so weak and sensitive that if I start hitting with it too early, then it can break, or then it can just swell back up. So I've been told by my specialist, try and go for it as long as you can. But I'm at a point now, it's been about, I think, 10 weeks or so, where I just want to give it a try. So yeah, I'm coming to the UK. I'm going to do some training there with Mark Tibbs in Essex, and I'm going to just see how the hand holds up. And if the hand holds up good, and it doesn't swell up and doesn't give me any grief, then yeah, I suppose we can get in camp and start setting some dates. But I am looking for early next year if everything's good. And hopefully, yeah, obviously I would love to fight in the UK. I love my UK fans and love being out there, but I'm open to anything.
We know in the past you've spoken about wanting to have a rematch with Shannon Courtenay. Is that a fight which still has any interest to you, knowing that she obviously had suffered that recent defeat to Jamie Mitchell?
Not really, like, immediately, until she, like what she says, if she doesn't have a belt, she's no use to me, you know what I mean? Like, she doesn't have a belt, so, like, realistically, she's I don't need her. I want to get a belt, I want to get a title, so if she can get that belt back, for sure, but if we both don't have a belt, then, and we want to have a fight, for sure, I'd love that fight as well, because it's a fight for the fans, it's a fight that all the fans want, and it doesn't really need a belt to be a good fight, and to even be a money fight, it doesn't need a belt. But I do want to try and get a belt. That would be my intention next, is to try and get a belt, one of the champs. Either be Jamie or Cecilia Roman or Dinah, whatever. But yeah, I do want the rematch, but it has to make sense to me as well. Yeah.
What did you make of her defeat to Jamie Mitchell?
Oh, I thought, she went into that fight. I felt like she went into that fight with already losing. Sure, as in, not, I know she lost the belt on the scales, but I mean the mentality. She went in there. She had that leg thing on. She had to put on so much that didn't make weight. She didn't even try and cut the weight. Like, she went in there already pretty much setting up excuses to lose. And when you do that, when you go into a fight with a bunch of excuses, pre-planned or pre-ready, it happens. It's like it's a mindset thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but personally, I wouldn't have made it so obvious about the knee. You just hide those injuries. Like, I hid my hand injury when I went in the Gangolf, when I fought Beck Connolly, I tore my lat. I didn't even train with my left hand or sparring for 3-4 weeks before Beck because I tore. But you just put that aside because you got to go in there and you got to just put on that face and win. You don't want to show any weakness to your opponents, But she's going and doing that and everything. I just felt like it was just setting herself up for a loss. If she came in like that fighting me, if that same Shannon Courtenay fought me, when we fought, she would have been knocked out in 3 or 4 rounds, But hey, the loss doesn't define you, and she can definitely come back from it, because we've seen she can box well. So, it's just how bad does she want it, and the fact that she missed weight, like on her first defense, that's the second time she's missed weight as well. Like, how serious is she taking the sport, Like, I don't know, does she really want to be a champ? Does she really want to box, or what is she doing it for? Because there's so many things here where I'm thinking, like, what are you doing, mate?
Just a few fights whilst I've got you, I want to get your thoughts on. Obviously, we saw Terry Harper lose to Alicia Baumgardner this past weekend in the UK. I want to get your thoughts on that and the potential unification back between Alicia and Michaela, who you bumped into today as well.
Yeah, that fight with Terry and Alicia, like I've heard a lot about Alicia. I've seen a lot of Alicia, and I was even saying I had text screenshots to show my friends, and look, I told you so, because I said that Alicia was going to win. I said, she's going to cause an upset because she is so strong, man. And you hear it, like, I'm in the US, and so you hear the talks in the US, you hear about Alicia here, because the UK, they don't know them. And obviously Terry Harper has a lot of fans in the UK. She's British, the British fans get behind their fighters, and they kind of almost dismiss Alicia. But if you're here in the US, like, you hear the stories, you hear about the sparring, you hear about the fights, and that she's one of the hardest hitters. And she was a Team USA. She was she's got a good amateur pedigree as well, and so yeah, I did see that fight happening like that. And I also thought it was way too soon for Terry, coming back from 2 hand injuries. Like, I get it, no tough fights, no easy fights, and that ego thing, but sometimes in boxing, like, there's a reason why you take certain fights, and like, it's good that she wants to take the hard fights and she doesn't want to maybe have an easy fight, but sometimes there's a reason for things. And I think coming off, just especially being outside for so long with those hand injuries, coming onto someone like Alicia, who maybe, I don't know if they underestimated. I think it was a strong move, but is it a good move? I'm not sure, And yeah, as for Maya and Alicia, I think that's going to be a great fight. But I'm putting my money on Maya for that one. Her last fight was insane. I've already watched it twice. I was so entertained by it. I remember she put a tweet out saying the rest of the division can thank me for getting Hamadouche out, because, man, Hamadouche is a freaking handful, and I couldn't imagine Terry or even maybe Alicia dealing with that. Alicia's style is that real slick kind of American, style where she picks her shots and takes her time and real patient. And someone like Hamadouche, that pressure and that work rate, I think could have been a bit hard for someone like that needs the time to think. And I felt Terry gave her that time to think, to set up those shots, And I don't think we've seen Maya. We've seen her do everything. She can fight on the outside. She can fight on the inside. She could go to war. She can box. So I just think as an all-round fighter, I think Maya has it all. She doesn't have the power like, say, Alicia, but I think she can take it, because Hamadouche is strong. Hamadouche had all the knockouts, and Maya was getting hit. She was taking it. So yeah, that's an exciting fight.
Final one, Ebony. We obviously just saw Reese overcome Kamara on the Matchroom show, which is also in the States, but in different parts of the States. Yeah. What did you make of her win, and also what did you make of that undisputed battle which will happen next between her and Chantel Cameron?
Yeah, wow, what a fight that was, man. I was on the edge of my seat, especially those last few rounds. Insane. Look, I think it was like a real kind of roller coaster fight. Kaylee came out looking good. She came out southpaw, and then I feel like Kamara started really tagging her. It was like Kaylee needed to wake up a little bit, and she's getting tagged quite a bit. Kamara actually looked the stronger. I know that Kaylee walks around 140 now, so she's not putting on much weight on back after those weigh-ins, and she was looking kind of a bit tired and a bit like, I thought maybe Kamara was even going to maybe get her out in those middle rounds, but then Kaylee got that second wind and she dug deep and she realised that she's going to fucking lose a belt if she doesn't pick up, and she did, and in those last few rounds she really put it on and she came out hard, and and she put it on Kamara and did enough to get that win in that last round with the cut and everything, she was just getting, Kamara was getting hit at will. So yeah, I think good fight, very close fight. I can see some people saying, Kamara should have won or whatever, but it was just one of those fights that were really close that maybe it could have gone each way. But, Kaylee's a champ, and I think the way she finished the fight, she got the fight and she deserved it. And, yeah, man, her and Chantel, I saw Chantel was ringside there. And Chantel, that's going to be a tough fight. That's going to be a tough fight for Kaylee, I think. Kaylee's going to, I know what Kaylee is like. She's going to look back on the fight that she does. Even when she does a good performance, she looks back and she'll shred herself over it. So I know she'll get back in the gym. She'll be working really hard to make sure that, she comes in to the next fight, better and better, as she always does. But I think, Chantel's, going to be looking at that fight going, okay, I see this. But it's going to be a good fight either way.
All right, Ebanie, we'll leave that there now. Leave you to go and get something to eat because I know you've been hungry now. So I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your time here in Vegas as well, and safe travels to the UK. Thank you for speaking to me.
Thank you very much. Always good to catch up. Thanks, guys.